In this video, we're going to talk about how the game is designed to keep you poor.
Our channel is dedicated to improve quality of life through increasing your perspective IQ on the most impactful things, which are your health, assets, and relationships. In this topic, we're going to talk about the
Asset section. So the asset section dives into two things is that intellectual assets, that's what you own intellectually, like what skills do you have, and your physical assets. Now the physical assets, the big one that pops out is money.
Mm,
So money is just a tool that you can use to buy things. So like if you think about it, money's not worth anything until you use it.
right.
So the option to use is the actual value of money. I'm not
Mhm,
saying that money fixes everything, but it does help a lot.
right.
So the thing is that would you rather have $100 or would you have a nice warm coat if you're, let's say, in a cold area like Canada? Which one's worth more? Which one would you want if you don't have any kind of protection? Well, the utility of the jacket is actually more valuable than the money.
Mhm,
But taken in context is that you have the money if you have the option to buy the jacket. If you don't, you prefer the jacket. It's like if you're in a desert, what are you going to want more, water or gold?
mhm,
So it actually comes down to the value of things is its utility, but the thing that we use to represent a medium for value exchange is money. So it's called currency. So the whole thing is that a physical asset has its use, and that's really what we're after.
mm,
And money is just a tool to get those things that we're after. So if we're sick, we pay money for medicine, and medicine cures us. We don't say, I don't want to buy the medicine because I want to keep the money. It's because our priorities change for our health.
mhm,
We'll give up our money for health because it's more useful to have our health than money. So the whole thing is that money is not like necessarily the highest priority. The highest priority is your health or your time or your energy. But you do have to have a form of money because that's the world that we live in.
mhm,
It's just how we trade for things instead of bartering. So, like, say if you're a farmer and you grow corn, you can't go buy everything with corn because it's like, well, how many tons of corn do I have to get to buy a car? See, it doesn't make sense. So it's
mhm,
very more efficient if we all believe in a monetary system so that we can exchange for goods on a market basis.
mhm,
So that's what really comes up with the whole thing. So the whole thing is that this is one of three parts of things that really keep you poor. And what happens is that sometimes we don't even notice.
mhm,
And the first one is we're going to talk about the cycles of consumption. Now, cycles of consumption, what is that really? Well, it's a cycle circle. You go in it and you consume, and then you buy and consume, and you buy and consume. So think about like when you buy shoes.
mm,
Okay, we buy shoes because either you need them or you
because you
want
want them.
them, or it could be both.
Mhm,
So the reason you might need shoes is because your old shoes are worn out. So therefore you need it. So there's where the cycle starts again. So if you're gonna buy new shoes, you're gonna purchase them. That's the expense, and then you're gonna use them until you need other shoes, or you can buy another set of shoes and start a whole new cycle. And what would this look like? Let's say you have your everyday work boots. You have those, and then you have, you know what? I'm gonna go work out. I'm gonna buy some tennis shoes. See, you opened up a new cycle.
mhm,
So you have work boots and you have working out shoes. And then maybe you're gonna go out and you buy yourself a nice pair of leather boots or dress shoes. See, now you opened up another cycle. So like men usually have work boots, tennis shoes,
and a
and
nice
then
pair.
a nice pair of dress shoes, and sometimes we have some sandals or some Crocs around the house, something like that. So we only have like certain set of shoes. Now, some girls they have all kinds of shoes for all kinds of different events. So you see, they open many cycles of
Mhm,
consumption. So like girls do that, let's say in shoes and purses, and guys do that, let's say with their toys. They
mhm.
open up cycles of consumption.
So, like tools, certain projects that they need around the house,
Let's
right?
say tools, cars, certain things that guys collect. So they just want to have a collection of things. So anything that's collectible is kind of opening up a new cycle thing because you want to have a complete set or you want to have a collection of these things. So like the whole thing is the cycle of consumptions are really what's keeping you poor is the money that's going out.
Mhm,
So the money that's coming in, let's say it's your income, but also if you don't spend money, you have more money. So if you eventually have more money coming in than going out, you're eventually going to get rich.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that we have these participation behavior in putting ourselves in cycles of consuming. Now, what do they look like? They're all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is that we get so easy to convince ourselves to participate in these things. So let's describe a little bit of cycle of consuming. So one of the easiest ones is that the cycles of consuming is the ones we have to do. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to eat. We have to eat and we have to pay for it. It's just
Mm-hmm.
part of the thing.
We need
So
shelter.
we're going to have some cost and then we're going to consume and then we're going to have another cost. So we're going to eat, consume, and so forth and so on. So we're going to have that. Now, this type of cycle of consuming is a must or else you're going to die. So there's things that we have to have and there's things that we want to have. So in the world today, especially most of us usually use a car.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have a car, now this is where the preferences come in. We want to look a certain way. We want a certain car with certain utility. Some of us want a truck. Some of us want a little car. Some gas saving. Some others don't. Some of us want a big one.
Some
Some of us
want like
want a
for
big dually
off-roading
just to
and
go to
stuff.
Walmart. You know, that's how it is. Or a muscle car.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So what happens is that we all kind of need a car, and we kind of go with the first car that we can use and also satisfy our fashionable taste. So when we buy a car, we're on a cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and then within that cycle, there's other things. So there's there, and we start consuming it. So consuming means how many miles you put in it, and then this opens up other cycles of consuming. So we got tires, we got maintenance, basically oil changes, stuff like that. Oh, but there's other things that we don't have to have, but we want to. So we open up on the cycle. Let's get some rims, right? So see, that puts a cost and then we consume it. Sometimes we get tired of those rims. See, that's a personal decision. And what happens is sometimes these are involved with having a truck. You're going to eventually have to change the tires. You get flats, you do this, you're eventually going to have to do maintenance, or else the cost is going to go higher to maintain this car. Because if you don't take care of it,
It's
and
not gonna
and you're
work.
gonna have to buy another one, another cycle of consuming. So when you hear a lot of people, finally, I don't have a car payment, they love it. Why? Because what really happens is it's getting the pressure off your shoulders. It's giving you more peace of mind because if you know they have more money, you have a better tool to give you peace of mind. Peace of mind. Peace of mind to have just in case shit happens. And guess what? I don't know, is it with you, but it just seems like shit's happening all the time.
It's not one thing,
So
it's
like,
another. Mm-hmm.
is money really gonna get in the way?
No.
No, not really.
I've never heard anybody say,
There's
I
only
have too
there's
much money, I don't want any more.
there's only like two situations where money doesn't help you. It's like somebody asking for ransom, and you got just too much money that you don't know what to do with it, and you got more money than brains. And I mean that's usually doesn't happen. Like people that win the lottery, that's the reason they lose a lot of the money because they got more money than brains. So the whole thing is, we get into these things, and you're like, well, you know what? I buy a car because I need this. Yes, you're gonna justify it the way you do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to the rules of the game is money in and
Versus money
money
out.
out. Okay. So what you want to do is put the least money out and the most. This one you want to plus, and this one you don't. So if you need a car and somebody has a car, say like you make $100,000, because there's a lot of people that make a lot of money but they don't have anything. Why? Because they spend it. The reason they're not rich is because they don't have good financial decisions, in my opinion. So if they both make 100,000 and they both need a car, and this guy buys a car for $5,000, okay, and this guy buys a car,
For 50.
let's say he buys a Tesla, 60,000, okay. So money in, money out. This guy has less 660,000 is that he doesn't have, and this one's 5,000. Well, really, the game is like who gets the same results for the least money. And the way I like to kind of show it is just like guy says, if I had more money, I would get more girls. Well, if you were a hell of a guy, you can get a girl with less money. That would be actually more valuable as a man
Mm.
because they like you more than your money. So if you think about it, you're getting the same results. Would you rather have? Would you rather have the same results
Yeah, the same need is being met.
but pay less? Well,
Absolutely.
yes. I mean, it makes sense, but we don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Oh, we want to be in style. We want to do this and that. And that's our nature because we want to be perceived more valuable. Why do we want to be perceived more valuable? Because we get treated better. Why do we want to be treated better? Well, that makes sense in itself. But the real definition is that a lot of guys buy expensive things, not necessarily because they want to use it. It's because they want to attract women. It's like kind of like peacocking. It's advertising.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason that we do a lot of the things, which is fine because the girl is gonna say, well, what's valuable, a guy with the Mercedes or a guy with B a Mini Cooper? And you're like, well, the Mercedes guy. But now girls are getting smart. It doesn't fool them because they know that any guy can get credit. So they're future faking or they're faking their actual status. So that's why they gotta dig a little bit deeper. They're not fooling anybody. So the whole thing is that if you get the same results for a cheaper price, you actually keep more money, and that's the name of the game. Okay. So a lot of people justify, no matter what they do, no matter what car they drive, they're always going to justify their purchase. Why? Because that's how the decision system works. They're always going to pick what they think is the best. Always. Now, that doesn't mean they're correct. That just means that they're picking according to their perspective. And the whole thing is that we do that all the time. So, okay, your money in, money out. I don't do this. I don't do that.
Hold
Well,
on, I
think
got
about.
something right here. Here, look. All right.
Well, think about the cycle is we have seasonal cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and these are created by culture. Culture, in other words, is the belief system that they think it's a good idea to continue doing the same patterns we have always done. It's basically what culture is. So culture is, oh, okay, Christmas is around the corner. Let's buy presents.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that looks like?
Money out.
Money out. Good. You're a good student. So money out. So how much money do you think people spend on Christmas? And how many people can afford it? Meaning they already have a bunch of debt and then they're piling more debt. Put it on the credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Do
They're
this.
stressed
And
out
some
about money,
people
and
can
then
afford it.
they're
Mhm.
stressed out about money, but they're like, "Oh, I just want it to be so good for the kids because the culture says that children need to have presents Christmas Day." And then they kind of put their worries away for the moment, increase the debt. Kids have a great day, and then come the day after Christmas, they're like, "Oh my God,
No, but
it
oh,
wasn't worth
family
it."
comes together. We only do it once. Yeah, okay. So the holidays come, so we got Christmas, we got
New
Thanksgiving, and let's
Year's.
do something for 4th of July, and let's do something for Valentine's Day. Oh, and then we got the weekend, which is Memorial Day. Let's go out to the lake, let's go camping, let's go do it. See, spend, 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 spend. Money out, money out, money out, money out. So somebody says, well, if you keep all the money in, then what is it good for if you're not enjoying it? It's
Mm-hmm.
not that if you're not enjoying it, it's keeping the ratio.
Mm-hmm.
It's like how much money are you spending towards what you're making? Because if you really, it's like a lot of people want to just be like, I don't want to work, but I want everything to pay for. Well, it takes a plan. You got to keep the money in and don't let it go out so you can live a certain lifestyle where you can pay for yourself and you don't have to work.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody wants to do the work of actually setting that up. So there's going to have to be some sacrifices in the beginning to actually accumulate that wealth, and it actually takes an intellectual asset to develop. The reason that some people have more money than you is because they know something that you don't.
Mm-hmm.
See, they have intellectual assets that you don't. Or if you have more money than other people, it's because you know something more than they do. So why would it be different that somebody that has somebody more money than you, that they know something that you don't? When you know something, you have more than somebody else that doesn't, it's because you know something.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the part. The more money that you keep in, the more it increases your peace of mind. So let me give you an example. We like to go to the movies sometimes, but most of the time we stay in. Why? Because we're in a comfort of our own home. The food is charged so many X times more in the cinema. When I was younger, even though I could afford it, because I always made money when I was young. I could buy the things. I'll be like, it's just a better deal. I couldn't respect myself not buying some snacks, sneak them in the cinema and eat
Right.
them there instead of buying them in the cinema.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing. I would just sneak it in.
I think everybody's done that.
Or I was like, I'm gonna spend $20 in snacks at the cinema. I would just go eat before and then go watch the movie because I'd rather spend $20 at a restaurant, get real food, and then go to the cinema
Mm-hmm.
or take a Coke or sneak in a Coke or a Gatorade or whatever. So the whole thing is that I always done it that way. Now we go to the movies on a Wednesday because they're $5
At that theater, yeah.
at that theater. That's what we do. So when we ever want to see it in the big screen, we pay $5. If you go any other day, I think it's
Like 11,
$17, right?
11 or 12 each. Mm-hmm.
11 or 12 each plus whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say $12. Okay. We go on Wednesday. But since we don't really have a job, I
Mm-hmm.
sold my business and all that other stuff. We go during the day when there's nobody
We have a lot of time
because
free.
we have time because that's what we value. Time. We value time. You know where you waste a lot of time? You think you're actually
Being productive.
investing, being productive, but we waste a lot of time working.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, if you had enough money, you probably wouldn't work and you probably do stuff to improve. So I believe in improving, not necessarily working. So that's the whole thing that you get into these cycles, and these are the two metrics. One of them is the cost, okay, and the other one is the frequency.
How often? Mm-hmm.
Frequency, right? So this is the two things that matter. Okay, so you can have something that's high cost and low frequency, like a car purchase or a house purchase.
Mm-hmm. You're
But
not buying a new house like every year
right,
typically.
exactly. So a lot of us make plans are like, I'll make the money and pay for it instead of thinking, let me make the money first and pay for it,
Mm-hmm.
which I would recommend. Because if you have that mental attitude, then you're really being honest with yourself. I can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you don't have the money. That's what affording means.
Mm-hmm.
If you get credit, doesn't mean you can afford it. So when people say, "Oh, my house and this and that," I go, "You got to pay for it." No, then it's not your house.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole thing. It's an illusion. It kind of sounds like, "Oh, this is my car. It's paid for." No, then it's not your car. You have it at your rear, but the reality is it's not your car.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the title.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
It doesn't belong to
It
you
doesn't
yet.
belong to you. So I believe in buying the thing right out cash. And you're like, well, not all of us can do that. Well, you have the potential to earn the cash first and then buy it. Because when you actually do that, it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
You actually value your money more
Mm-hmm.
to go out because how much effort that you had to get it to get come in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the cycle you get caught under. So if you look at the cost and the frequency, there's a lot of cycles of consuming. So let's go. Okay, so we got seasonal, we got holidays, we got Halloween, we got Thanksgiving, we got Christmas, we got New Year's, we got this. I don't know people that are spending money all the time and they're like, I don't know where it goes. That's where it goes. The cycles of consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of money out situations. If you want to be rich, you got to keep it in. Okay. So that's one. Another thing is big purchases, like cost, is like a house or a car. And how many people buy houses and cars cash?
Not
Not
many.
really. I buy all my cars cash and buy my house cash, everything cash. If I couldn't afford it, I mean, if I didn't have
You
enough
didn't.
money, that I would tell myself I couldn't afford it. And it's okay because I can always improve my situation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big cost. And then when you buy the house and cost, you have maintenance costs and you have all these other things. So you're putting yourself into more cycles. So that's why sometimes I stress minimalism because it's more less is more. You have less things that you have to maintain. You have more freedom,
Mm-hmm.
more peace of mind because it's things you worry about less. Like some of you, like the best example is think. I know you guys love your kids and everything. Let's say you have kids. All right, you're not gonna get rid of them. Okay, it's not gonna be like I'm gonna get rid of them and give me peace of mind. No, they're already here. But think about having double like two or more, three or kids, and people are like, "Oh my God, see, that's peace of mind escaping you
Mm-hmm.
because all the costs that it requires for their attention."
Mm-hmm.
Just
Their
you think kids
maintenance
are
and
great? Why don't you have more? Oh no, it's just, see, that's a peace of mind because it gives you more things to do. What you want to do is less things to do, less cost. But what happens is that we want to work less and experience all the most. It's not gonna happen. It's kind of like saying, I want to eat all the tasty food, the junk food, and not gain weight. It's not gonna happen. It's not reality.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that the cost and frequency, we have culture, we have cars, we have phones, we have fashion, so we have clothes, we have let me see here, furniture, we have
Accessories,
accessories, hairs, even things like body
hairstyles,
composition. You know, fillers, we have implants, we have
like nose
haircuts,
jobs,
implants like
tattoos.
hair implants and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, even for the men and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And then we have, that's why a lot of people advertise subscriptions. Are you paying too much in subscription? Because they know you're in a cycle. That's why businesses want to sell subscription because that's the most advantage towards them. Think about it. That's more money in for them,
Mm-hmm.
less money and more money out for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people want to do subscriptions because that's the most valuable thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the frequency and the
And
cost.
how do they sell you on that, on the subscriptions, if you really think about it? They promote, let us just do automatic withdrawals so you don't have to stress about it.
Right.
So they try to promote it as giving you peace of mind as they're extracting your money from you.
And some things are worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Some things are worth it.
Well, yeah.
Hmm. Like a gym membership if you use it. If you're one of those 80% that signs up and doesn't go and pays for it, you're on a cycle of cost. What happens is that the cost is so low that you don't mind the frequency. Oh, it's just 10, 15, $20. No big deal. Some of us pay more. So that's the whole thing. Now, other subscriptions is going to restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, not subscriptions, cycles. Restaurants, special events, and traveling. There's people that have to travel every year.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go to concerts. They have to go every
Those
show, comedy
festivals,
show,
stuff like that.
festivals.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go to Las Vegas and go see this one event. So those are cycles that we capture into that take money, but we justify, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. So I see a lot of rich people. What happens is that there's different levels of richness. There's just some people that have so much money that they just do what they can.
Mm-hmm.
But other people, to conserve money, they get into that pattern is that they do what they must and they enjoy the process. So sometimes they have to go to Vegas for
Mm-hmm.
a convention for business, and they might as well enjoy it.
Right.
But they don't go to Vegas to spend money. They go to Vegas to increase the likelihood
Of their intellectual
of their
assets.
intellectual assets and make connections to make more money. When we used to go to Vegas, usually it was always because of the convention, not just to go to Vegas to go to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole thing. We would go to conventions for business purposes
Mm-hmm.
in our industry and other industries. So looking for potential. And every time we go, it always paid off the connections that I made in that trip to pay off for that vacation or that business trip because it
Mm-hmm.
was it was a business expense
Mm-hmm.
anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to do it. If you go over there and you don't make anything, it was just a lie. It's like some people that go to conventions to make more money and they go over there and then they don't make
They
anything.
don't put any of the
They really
knowledge that they
wanted to get
learned
away.
to use.
They really wanted to wait and escape.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, okay, that's real, sounds real good, Israel, but like, what's the whole point? It's like, what happens is that we go into a thing, a peace of mind is really your mental health. And what happens is that think about all the things that people do and they think about it and they justify their expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the classic car world, a lot of men used to say, oh, I like to go to the garage and work my car because it's my therapy. That's what they're saying is it brings them peace of mind and there's a therapy. But there's a cost there. They justify that
Mm-hmm.
because they like it. The whole thing is that a lot of people put their evaluation system based on what they like. Okay? And what
That makes
people
sense. Yeah.
like is just an opinion. And just because you have an opinion, you like something doesn't make it correct. And this is what pisses people off. You can't tell me what I like. I go, you can't even tell yourself what you like.
You can't even explain why
You
you
can't
like what
explain
you
it.
like.
And I go, why do you, once you go down the rabbit hole, you really go into it and you're like, what do you like and what determines what you like? And then it usually comes down to two things. I don't like feeling pain and I like pleasure. Okay, with that kind of value metric, I have to really kind of go to the extreme. It goes like when the druggie takes drugs, he says he doesn't care about anything because he's so much pleasure.
Mm.
Is that a right thing? They're all like, oh no. Well, see, that's the whole thing. That's the value metric. You're going on actually what makes you happy, what gives you pleasure,
How it makes you feel.
how it makes you feel. And then be like, well, what other metric would it be? Oh, don't do what necessarily makes you happy or what makes you feel good. What we have in common are we want to win and we want results. So when I say you guys, everybody wants to be healthy, everybody agrees. But they don't want to do the work or they improve to get the results. So what's better? Somebody that does something that feels good or somebody that does something to get the healthy results?
Mm-hmm.
Regardless if you like it or not.
And usually once you get the results, you get that sense of winning.
Mm-hmm.
And that sense of winning
Mm-hmm.
actually feels better than the other pleasures do.
So some people, when they start getting healthy, they like it and they start liking the work that gives them those results.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, it doesn't feel good, and that's what people are like. Oh, exercise doesn't feel good. See, that's where the value metric they go on what doesn't feel good. You shouldn't go on the value metric what feels good. You should go on the positive results, which is being healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we really want. And then once you feel that, oh, I'm healthy, then you like being healthy. It's like when you get rich or you make money. You start liking money because you know how valuable it is when you have it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you don't have it, you're not going to complain about making money anymore because you know what it takes to get the results and you'll start liking to do what you need to do to get the results and therefore you'll like actually working. And that's what happens with people. They'll like doing the healthy stuff. It's not they like doing the process. If they could avoid it and get the results, they would.
Who wouldn't?
But what happens is they like it because they know it works and they get the results.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't disagree with me and say, yeah, health is important. But to them, their evaluation is not good because they don't do the work to get the healthy because they don't really know what it's worth
And not
until
just
they don't have it.
so you could even kind of like compare health and money in the sense. So like people that make the effort to get healthy are less likely to let themselves get unhealthy again or ever get unhealthy. They're
Right.
going to do everything they can. Just like people who work hard and make the effort to, you know, get money and conserve it, they're going to be more conservative with it because they knew the cost it took
Right. So what
to
happens is that
get it.
eventually you get a pleasure off of the results or what you would call winning.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is. And you're willing to go through the pain to get the pleasure, to get the results. And that's when people start liking the pain. Go ahead.
Here's a friendly reminder. If at any time you get value from this video, hit the like button because that tells us to make more of what you like. And don't forget to subscribe for more Perspective IQ. And if you know anybody who might benefit, please share it with them.
So the whole thing is like when you get in these cycles of consuming, it's because it's so easy to justify that we like it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not easy to identify why we like it. And what we really like, what we're really after as a result, is just that our method of picking those things to get the result. Like say that I can talk for personal is I liked collecting classic cars because it made me feel more important because I had something
That
of
a lot of
value
others don't.
that's really shown right away. It's obvious. And what happens is that people treated me different,
Mm-hmm.
treated me better. So it's not like I like classic cars necessarily. Once I narrowed it down, what I really liked is people treating me better.
Mm-hmm.
So once I saw that, I was like, what can I give them the less cost, right? And less frequency and concentrate on the result of getting treated better. Because when I had the cars and I rolled up in a nice car, people treated me better or respected me more or I got attention from women. And that was the actual benefit. So if I don't have to spend $70,000 on a car to get treated better, I'm just going to go directly to getting treated better.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Get treated better, usually it's not necessarily the car. It's the vibe that you give. If you make people feel good, they'll treat you good no matter what you drive.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a while to find that out.
And if you carry yourself a certain way, just like being hygienic, have, you know, a nice body, and you present yourself that way, usually that people treat you better that way too.
So
Pretty
what
privilege works for men and women.
so the money out was $70,000 so I can get treated better. If I can find how to pay less money out,
Mm-hmm.
less money for the same result, isn't that a better deal? So I actually improve the cycle of consuming with different things of value. And that's what happens sometimes. It's like some people buy a certain car to attract women. Yes, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but there's other principles that can happen that you can get treated better.
Hmm.
So like there's just those things. So it's like once you're aware what you're really paying for and what you're really getting, sometimes we're paying too much and we don't really know what we really like.
Well, it's like in math. So it's like, let's say you want the answer to be 100. There's so many different ways to get 100. It's not just 50 plus 50. You know,
There's infinite ways,
there's
yeah.
so, like, yeah. So if you want certain results, the only, like, it's that's 70,000 cars, not the only way to be treated well.
Right.
There's so many different ways that you could do it.
So if you look at all the things, anytime that you're gonna spend something, it's kind of like, can I avoid that? And especially so if you know the metrics is the cost and the frequency. So let me put in some shoes. Let's say you use two cheap shoes, right? So you buy them like say $20, and you use two of them per year. So that's $40 a year cost. Okay, the frequency is two, and the cost is two. 20 times two equals $40 a year. And you buy a nice pair. This happened to me. I bought them for $200, and they lasted me 2 months. I'm like, I got pissed off. That's why I look for products that last
Hmm.
and that last in style and lost in
Durability and
durability and
reliability.
all kinds of things. But what happens is what you want to do is okay, I can spend $40 a year shoes. So I bought some Crocs maybe 15 years ago. I think I bought it for like 20 bucks. Okay. I still have them. They're all beat up, but they still work and I use them around the house, especially when I'm working in the garage. Now I have a new pair and I paid $40. Okay. So the new pair, I use it if I don't wear Crocs out in public, but if I have to, I have a nice pair, but I usually wear them around the house, especially if I have people over. I don't use my dirty old
Raggedy ass
raggedy ones.
Crocs.
So I have 40, I spend $60. But if I buy, let's say, a shoes that are real good and I spend 200 a year, this one is a better deal than this one, even though the frequency is higher. This is one time times one, and this is times two, but let's say the
But the
cost
cost is
is
still
a year
significantly
is
less.
significant. So what you really have to see is the ultimate number that comes out at the end. Like how many shoes are you using per year? I can use 200 in 1 year. I spend $200, a nice pair, but I only last a year. Or I can spend $60 and it's more time. So how much time am I really using? You have to put them in an equilibrium markets. So if I spend $200 and this lasts me a year, I'm spending $200 a year. And this one I'm spending $60, but they last me at least maybe in combination like 20 years. So like which one's a better deal?
Hmm.
So you had to pay the most for the most gain. And sometimes we justify our big expenses because we think it's worth more, but no. Now once we do the math, it's no. And that's the key. The math shows it
Math
shows the
shows the
path.
path. Hmm.
Math shows the path.
Numbers don't lie
Numbers don't lie.
unless
Exactly.
you did it wrong. That's operator error,
So it's
not
like,
math.
what do you suggest that I do? Well, look at the numbers because it's going to cost you. And the more money you have in the bank, the more mental health you're going to have. In other words, you're just going to be happier. Who doesn't want more
I've
happiness?
never heard somebody say, I don't want to be happy.
I just want less happiness.
Yeah.
What really
Oh,
is
it's
what
too much of an
happiness
effort.
is it giving you a positive perspective in life that you can accept those things.
Mm.
So maybe you're just satisfied knowing that there's things that are going to come that you have to sacrifice in order to better. So just look at a diet. You're going to have to sacrifice not eating the tasty meals, but the
Yeah.
side effect is good health and longevity.
Yeah.
Oh,
But anymore,
too
like, it's
bad.
like, that's such a, like, I think that stigma is still around, but it's like you can really make very healthy meals. I know this is off topic. Healthy meals that taste very delicious. So it's like
Yeah,
you
but
don't
it's
have to
not the
sacrifice.
same. It's
You
not the
don't.
same.
No,
So
fair
the
enough. But I'm
thing
like, you're not really sacrificing flavor anymore. What you're doing is you're sacrificing other conveniences and you're disguising it as saying that it's flavor.
The whole thing is that immediate gratification is like look at it as a diet. It's the best analogy. Immediate gratification is eating all the tasty foods. In the long run, what's going to happen? And that's why we have a lot of people overweight, and that's a pattern that we get into. I've
Hmm.
been overweight. She's been overweight.
Hmm.
We fall in pattern. So if I see somebody that's overweight, I'm not going to judge them. If they're just in a different phase,
phase in life.
phase in life in that pattern of learning your health.
Right.
What happens is if you eat a lot of those things, yes, it tastes good. It makes me feel good. But we know it's not going to be good for the
That's
future.
when it goes back to like, oh, it
Right.
makes me feel. It
And
doesn't
that's
still
what
mean it's a good choice.
that's what you need for yourself in a financial diet. Yes, you want to buy the car now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you want to have those cool devices. Yes, you want to celebrate Christmas. Yes, you want to buy a Halloween costume and go out. But if you're a little bit creative, try to get the same result without spending any money.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Or
you
at
have
least
some
less money.
things in your closet that you already spend money and you can make a costume and you just create it that you don't spend $60 and it took you an hour. See? An hour of your time, you save $60. You paid yourself $60 an hour. So there's certain things that you can do to
Mm-hmm.
save money. You put yourself in a financial diet so your wallet gets fat. That's
Not your
basically
waistline.
not your waistline. So if you eat healthy, you're going to get the positive health in the long run. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have a financial wallet, you're going to get more peace of mind.
Very
And
true.
that's the way I look at it. Sometimes I want to buy something at the store, a craving, and then I'm like, wow, you know what? It's like $10. And I actually get my phone out there and I transfer from my personal account to my investment account $10 to invest. And that's what does it for me. That makes me be like, well, I'm
You're done.
pretty satisfied. Instead of consuming it, I invested it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's adding to my investment account, which gives me free time, like to do all these videos and to go to the gym whenever I want and go whatever,
You can come and
because
go
I
as
don't
you
have to
please.
work,
Mm-hmm.
because I have peace of mind. I don't live a super luxurious lifestyle, but
Mm-hmm.
I live a pretty good lifestyle. There's nothing really limited. So that's the whole thing. I'd rather have my time and energy to do the things that we need to do
That's what we
instead of
value.
working all the time
Mm-hmm.
to catch up to the immediate gratifications that I create for myself.
Absolutely.
Well, this was going to be a short video, but it took longer. But it's we do I do the Allen Sap therapy. Allen Sap stands for as long as necessary, short as possible, and that's what we try to do.
Because we don't
But
want to waste ours or your time.
exactly. So if you found this useful, send it to some of your buddies and share it. And if you like this, hit like, please. And if you don't like it, hit like anyways. And share. Thank you.